Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of uSTADIUM Fantasy Live. I'm Chris, that's Stefan, and today we are joined by a very special guest, one part of NFL Fantasy Live, analyst and columnist for NFL.com, host of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, and one of my overall favorite fantasy football TikTok creators, especially your latest 0-6 dance with the teams getting their first win. Marcus Grant. Marcus, welcome to the uSTADIUM Fantasy Live Show. We appreciate your time, man.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, the TikTok thing is, it's funny. My wife was like very much like watching TikTok, and I'm like, she'd show me stuff, and I'm like, this is stupid. Like, why was anybody doing this? And now, like, I'm fully immersed in it, and I'm doing it, and yeah, that was real. That was real joy because if it wasn't for the Michael Pittman, late touchdown against the 49ers, I really might be staring at 0-7. I got a ton of leagues, but like, I don't want to go over, right? Like, I got pride.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, exactly. I feel you on that one. Yeah, I just got one of my wins thanks to Alvin Kamara in one league that I'm in with a bunch of buddies. So it's good to finally get that elusive win. But I like it, man. Your account is one of the ones that I enjoy following for sure.
Thank you.
It's week 8. We're halfway through the fantasy football regular season. The dreaded week 7 bye week, the bye Mageddon is behind us now. And some teams are looking to secure their position in the playoffs or start making a move to get up there to secure a position in the playoffs. Week 8, who is your top waiver ad to help some of these meddling teams make a push into a playoff spot?
For me, it's going to be Kenneth Gainwell. And it's funny, I've sort of been up and down with him, where early in the season, I sort of liked him as just kind of a late ad, just kind of a dart throw. And early on, it looked like he was having a role in that offense, and he was worth at least holding on to. Even if you weren't starting him, he was worth holding on to. Then we hit a stretch a few weeks ago where the Eagles just weren't giving him any love at all. I mean, I can't really figure out their offense. They've got Miles Sanders, who I like, and they don't really use him as much as I think they should. Look, I get it. I'm not at practice. I'm not in the meetings. I don't know. But I feel like he deserves more touches. And so with him not getting touches, Gainwell was getting even fewer touches. And I felt like, going into last Sunday, that Gainwell might be droppable. Then all of a sudden, Sanders suffers the ankle injury that's going to keep him out for at least a couple of weeks. And Gainwell stepped in, started getting more looks, had a touchdown. And so I think going forward, I do see Gainwell and Boston Scott kind of splitting some of those opportunities, but there's been so much buzz around Gainwell throughout the preseason training camp that I do think he gets a whole lot of work. So I think he's a guy that you definitely want. I would say for other folks, if you're not hurting this week and you just want to look ahead and stash some guys, Kenyon Drake, he's on a bye, but he's starting to get some more opportunity with the Raiders. And keep an eye on Josh Jacobs' injury too, because that could be impactful for him. Yeah. So he's worth a stash. And same with Rashad Bateman. The Ravens are off again this week too. But what we've seen from him since he has stepped on the field the last couple of weeks, it shows that he's going to get a whole lot of opportunity. So those last two names are only if you're not hurting, if you can afford to wait and stash somebody, if you've got a good record, what have you. But if you need help right now, I think Kenneth Gainwell is the guy.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Even Bateman had a great game. I think he caught 3 receptions, 80 yards was it last week. So it's a big one, man. It's a big one.
Yeah, no doubt. I think part of what made me nervous was I didn't know how much the Ravens were going to throw the ball, but they look like their passing game is finally coming together. So I think it's worth stashing him.
Yeah, I agree. One of the hot topics in the NFL, especially this week with the play of Sam Darnold, the Miami Dolphins are a couple wins. Deshawn Watson, what are we doing with him? He has the legal troubles. He still hasn't been put on the exempt list. If you own him, are you trying to trade him away? If he's on the waivers, are you grabbing him? What are fantasy managers doing with Deshawn Watson?
I'm staying hands off with Deshaun Watson, and who knows, maybe this burns me, but I've been sort of, I don't know the word, curious about all this sudden Deshawn Watson talk. And I know the trade deadline is coming, and he has basically flat out said he doesn't want to play for the Texans anymore.
Yeah,
I get that. But I'm also not certain that he's going to play for anybody this year. You talk about the legal troubles, right? I mean, he's got, I've lost count of the number of women who have accused him of improper conduct at this point. At first it was some civil cases. Now there are criminal cases involved. And I just have a hard time imagining that even if he gets traded, right? Let's say it's Miami or whatever, that the league's not going to step in and suspend him or put him on some sort of, commissioner's list or something. So for me, it just feels very premature and very speculative to go out and try to add. Like if you have him, I don't know what you do, because if you try to trade him, you're not going to get anything close to what his potential value could be. Yep. So you're sort of stuck with him right there. If he's out there on waivers, I've just been hands off because I feel like there's so much more that has to happen for him to actually get on the field that it just feels like you're really holding a roster spot. There are people out there who are probably braver than I am, who are going to go make that move. I'm going to stay away from it. And like I said, if he plays and he plays well and I lose out, so be it. But it just feels to me like there's so many more headaches involved that it's just not worth the risk.
And he has no injury designation either. So like you said, he's just wasting a roster spot there. You can't put him in the IR. So and if you're in a 1 quarterback league and in 2 quarterback league, you're kind of throwing darts out there. So I agree with you with that one. Deshaun Watson is a good name. He won me a championship last year. He was great. But this year it just seems like he's just going to be out all year.
Yeah.
All right, we got some questions piling up in the live chat. You good to answer some fan questions here, some viewer questions? Let's get to it. Sure. Tegan Peterson, any news on Christian McCaffrey?
I mean, other than it's still going to be a couple more weeks since they put him on injured reserve. So, I mean, we know we got to wait at least a couple more. So if you've got Chuba Hubbard, keep rolling with Chuba Hubbard. It hasn't been as great for Hubbard as it was last year for Mike Davis, but exactly. Just the fact that he's on the field a ton and he's getting touches in bulk makes it hard to, you got to at least hold on to him and flex him. I mean, I wouldn't drop him at this point.
Would you be scared going forward, though? Say like he does come back in a few weeks. Are they going to abuse him again, or are they going to just run the Chuba/CMC role?
I mean, I think when he's back, it's going to be all CMC because that's just how that offense operates. And like when he's healthy, he's still one of the best players in the league. The problem the last 2 years has just been this accumulation of injuries, and that's been frustrating. So, I mean, when he comes back, I've got him in a couple spots. Like when he comes back, I'm full speed ahead with it. But I would say that if you've got Chuba Hubbard, even when McCaffrey comes back, I would wait before I put him back on the waiver wire just in case something happens again.
Agreed. Frankie V asks, do you see Alan Lazard being a good option moving forward, especially with the Adams news that we heard yesterday that he was put on the COVID list? I mean, there's a slight chance that Adams could play with the 2 negative tests. He needs it today and tomorrow, I believe. So do you see Alan Lazard being a good option moving forward rest of the season?
I don't know about rest of the season, but definitely this week. If Adams can't play for sure this week, the problem with the Packers passing game is that after Adams, it's just really inconsistent as to where the targets are going, right? Like it's all Davante Adams, and then everybody else kind of gets a little sprinkling here and there. So that makes it hard to trust whether it's Alan Lazard or Randall Cobb. Or Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I think, is going to be back again this week. So MVS is sort of back in play.
St. Brown as well.
There's just no real consistency. That's the problem. I do like saying Equinemius St. Brown. It's just fun to say. But there's just no consistency there. I guess of that group, like I said, Lazard, I think this week has some value. Randall Cobb always seems to kind of have some value just because I think Rodgers trusts him, so when they get in a tough situation or they need to score, he'll look there. But when Devonta's back and he's healthy and he's ready to play, it's just I get too nervous about any of those other guys.
If you had to throw a dart for, say, you needed a receiver for this Thursday and you had Lazard, MVS, Randall Cobb, or St. Brown, who are you taking for a receiver 2 if you have Adams out or something?
Probably Lazard. And look, I had to during Buymageddon last week. I had to play Alan Lazard, and it worked out. I mean,
it definitely worked out. Yeah,
right. He got me
a touchdown.
He got me some decent points last week. Yeah, so I wouldn't be concerned about going back to the well again if there's no Davante Adams.
All right, Vopsy, start 3 in the 10-team PPR. Jamar Chase, who's been absolutely lighting up the league. Deontay Johnson, A.J. Brown, and Daryl Henderson. Which 3 you pick? I mean, that's a good – it sounds like a good team.
It's like a humble brag right now, right? That's totally what this is a humble brag.
But, yeah.
Well, for sure, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
That's an easy call right there because he's been so great. And they've got the Jets this week. So,
yeah.
That's for sure. I would say I'd definitely go with AJ Brown because I feel like the last 2 weeks, look, he got that Chipotle out of his system, that gave him some bubble guts. So that seems to be cleared up now. And I think AJ Brown is sort of back to being the guy that we wanted to. So for now, it comes down to a battle between Deontay Johnson and Daryl Henderson. You know what? The Rams are playing the Texans, so I think we go Daryl Henderson in that one. I know Deontay gets a lot of targets. The Browns aren't bad, despite what happened. That giving up a lot of points recently. A couple weeks ago, I guess, to the Chargers, they gave up all those points.
2 weeks ago, the 45.
So I'm a little bit more concerned about Deontay. Like I said, the Rams have the Texans, so I think Daryl Henderson's the answer there.
Right on. Tegan Peterson, does anyone know when CMC is expected back? And what could be good trade value for him? Marcus, you already said he's on the IR, so he's got a couple more weeks before he's back.
At least 1 more week, maybe 2 more weeks.
I think it's just 1 more.
Yeah.
But trade value wise, I mean, if you're hurting at certain positions, you're going to move a guy like CMC. If you can wait, you're going to hold them. But if you're looking to trade a guy like Christian McCaffrey, what kind of package are you looking for in return?
I mean, I think you got to get obviously you want to get another running back to replace him, right? So I think I think you're trying to package, maybe try to see if you can get a low end RB1, maybe a high end RB2, maybe you can get a couple of wide receivers in there as well. But you've got to make sure you get. It's so hard trading stars, right? You can never get the full value,
proper value,
never, right? And so you're always trying to piecemeal some things. So I would see if you can get, like a high end RB2, maybe you can get. Maybe it's hard now, but I'd say like a Leonard Fournette type or something like that. And get yourself a couple of decent, wide receiver twos. Maybe a guy like, I don't know, Brandon Cooks is out there. Chris Godwin maybe is somebody you can sort of target, something like that though. But yeah, you're never going to get the full value back. And then,
Agreed.
If McCaffrey comes back and he looks like CMC again, you're gonna have the sads.
Kicking yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna have the sads. Like that's just all that's gonna happen. So
yeah, I agree with that.
So would you say it depends on like a record? So like if you're like 1-5, 2-4, or something like that, you want to trade him and try to get that late.
Yeah, no. If you're struggling and you're just if you're barely hanging on, then yeah, you got to make that move because you've got to get players that can help you right now. McCaffrey's not back until week 9. So that means you still got to get through this week, and then you got to hope that he's okay to actually play in week 9. If you need help right now, you got to make that move and see if you can get players that can help you this week.
I like it.
Noah asks, rest of the season, Devonta Smith or Julio Jones?
Oh, you know what? This might, I don't know, maybe this is shocking, but maybe I say Devonta Smith here.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I hate it.
I love Julio, and I've got Julio on a couple teams. I want the best for him, but so far, it just hasn't been consistent. I mean, part of it has been him being hurt. Part of it's just when he's on the field, just not getting a lot of looks. He's had 1 big game so far. Still doesn't have. He should have had a touchdown. He had a touchdown called back on.
Call back.
That was whack. Like that should have been a touchdown, but. Whatever, but it just hasn't happened for him in Tennessee the way I thought it would. Meanwhile, as inconsistent and frustrating as the Eagles offense is, when they throw the football, they're generally throwing it to Devonta Smith. So, at least I feel better about his weekly floor than I do about Julio's.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Lex asks, can I drop Freeman for a stream defense Bengals or maybe P. Ryan, Rashad Penny, Lazard, or Brandon Bolden. I think because Freeman is on a bye this week, and we don't really know the mix of what Baltimore is going to do in that backfield. It's been a rotating cast of characters. I mean, if you need to stream a defense, the Bengals versus the Jets is a great option. I mean, you could have started an all Bengals team last week and won your league. You could have started an all Patriots team last week and won your league. But
except for Jacoby Myers, who still can't score a touchdown. Like, I don't know.
Score a touchdown.
I think he needs like 40 yards.
Patriots scored 54 points, and Jacoby Myers can't score a touchdown.
Wasn't involved. Yeah, I
feel bad for that guy.
But if you're dropping Freeman for one of these, which one are you picking out of the mix here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can drop Freeman for that defense if you're looking to, of this list that you've got here. I think Freeman is a prime candidate because of the bye. Then Latavius Murray maybe will be back. We'll see. The other name on that list that I would think about dropping is Rashad Penny. Right now, as long as Geno Smith is the quarterback, this Seahawks offense is awful. They're just awful right now. And so I don't want a running back that's sharing time in a bad offense. Like, that just seems miserable.
So you say to trade away all your Seahawks players, everyone you have, just try to get whatever you could for?
No, I still believe in DK and Tyler Lockett, just because, like, when they throw it, like, who else do they throw it to? It's those
Swain,
two guys,
I guess.
I mean, it's it. Like, so, you downgrade your expectations for them, but I think they're worth holding on to.
JT moving. I received Deebo Samuel, Leonard Fournette, and James Robinson and T. Higgins, but I give up JT's backup. DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, and Joe Mixon. Is it a win or a loss trade?
I think that's a win. Giving up Jonathan Taylor definitely hurts. Like, I'm not gonna lie about that. But you're getting Fournette, who right now looks like the man in Tampa Bay, right? Like, Ronald Jones and Gio Bernard and Keyshawn Vaughn, like, they're sort of invisible. It's all about Leonard Fournette.
Yep.
And James Robinson, like, for whatever reason, Urban Meyer, I don't know. Maybe they didn't meet during the preseason. Maybe he just somehow ran into him in the hallway during week 3 or whatever. But for whatever reason, now they figured out that, hey, we have a good running back. Like, let's give him the football. So, while you're losing Taylor, you get Fournette and Robinson, and Deebo Samuel has been a beast. Very little else has gone right for the 49ers offensively this year. But Deebo Samuel has, man. He's been right. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. If Tony is playing this week, is he a must start? Kadarius Toney.
I think he is. Although I guess my answer, I'm going to hedge here a little bit. I mean, my answer sort of depends on what other wide receivers are back for the Giants. I mean, Kenny Golladay has been banged up. Sterling Shepard has sort of been dealing with some nagging injuries. Slayton. So it depending on who's available, Tony is worth considering. I wouldn't say he's a must start necessarily. I did like, though, the way that they really made it a point to get him the football when he was there and on the field. A lot of short throws, but they just let him use his athleticism and try to just make some space where they could. So that is at least encouraging. But like I said, I would keep an eye on the injury report and see how many or which of the Giants wide receivers are available before I just go out and say I absolutely have to start him.
Yeah, he's great after the catch. He's electric. He was electric in college. He's been good when he's on for the Giants, but like you said, if Shepard's back, we still don't know the status of Kenny Golladay. It could be a mix of wide receivers that they're throwing the ball to there. So he might not have those weeks where he put it up when those guys were out, but he's definitely a decent play moving forward.
Yeah, well, they have the Chiefs this week too, and that defense is just awful. So.
Yep. All right, I got a fun question for you here.
Okay.
You're a big music guy, as I've been following you. If you had to use a specific album or song to best describe your fantasy season this year, which is it and why?
That's a good question. So I'm gonna filibuster here while I pull up Spotify and try to go through some music and see what I can find here. Here's the thing. I would probably go because I grew up. My dad was always a huge Stevie Wonder fan, and that was actually the first concert I ever went to was a Stevie Wonder concert. So I'm gonna say superstition.
Okay, I like it
because like he says in the song, when you believe in things that you don't understand, like sometimes it's just like sometimes you have all the knowledge and all the information in the world, and sometimes you're just like, you know what, I just feel like I need to throw Alan Lazard in a lineup, and it works out, right? Like there's no necessarily rhyme or reason to it. I mean, same thing. Like there were a couple spots this year in drafts where like into the draft, I was like, just for a laugh, let me draft Cordero Patterson and see what happens, right?
Hey,
and
that's Steph's big.
That's my boy,
right? Like I just, it was like into the draft, just sort of a dart throw. There it is. Like into the draft, dart throw. Hey, maybe this pans out and works out to something. Let me draft Cordero Patterson. And so, like, I do think for as much as we study all this stuff, right, and we come up with ideas and thoughts, like sometimes it's just a little bit of good luck or bad luck that sort of makes or breaks your season so far.
For me, for me, it's a Drake song. It's Laugh Now, Cry Later. Preseason, I was laughing. All my teams looked so good. The rosters, everything looked amazing. And then 6 weeks in, I'm crying because everyone ended up on the IR. It hasn't been good. Steph, you got one?
To be honest, it's for me. It's gonna be another one bites the dust because it's just like I've had injuries this year. I drafted Gus Edwards. I had DJ Chark. So like every year, and then I had the Nick Chubb thing, and then I'm like over here, like man, it's just a hard season for me. So I'm like, you know what? Another one's gonna bite the dust. It's another league. Play that repeat, make myself feel a little bit better. So
I had a league where I drafted both Gus Edwards and Raheem Mostert, and so that went bad. That went bad really early for me.
Now, did you go into the draft thinking like I'm not going to draft Mostert? I'm not going to draft Mostert. Then he's sitting there. You're like, all right,
yeah,
Mostert.
Pretty much. It was like I went into draft season thinking like I'm probably not going to draft Mostert, especially with all the Trey Sermon hype. And then I think it got to a point though late in draft season where everybody was so excited about Trey Sermon that Mostert was sort of falling in drafts, and it got to a point where I'm like, all right, well, here he is. It's the 6th round or whatever, 7th round. I'm like, all right, I can take him here. So like it sort of went both ways.
What's the worst that could happen, right?
Right. Well, I guess the worst that could happen is that he blows out his knee, and then I don't have him all year. So there it is.
Oh, yeah, another question here from New Life. Half PPR, Daryl Williams or James Robinson? Looking at matchups, tough to decide.
It is tough to decide. I would probably. So part of me says Williams just because it's the Chiefs offense, but I think I'm going to go with Robinson just because I think he gets more opportunity. I think he's just going to get more touches, and they do like to throw him the football occasionally too. That's the thing he can do, especially with no Travis Etienne this year. So I think I might lean J-Rob on this one.
Yeah, I think I like that as well. Lex, mine is at 5:00 somewhere because this season has me wanting to drink 24/7. I like that answer.
I will say this for Lex, right? There are two places where it's always acceptable to drink because time doesn't apply. Vegas and airports. Like those are the two places where like any time of day or night, it's acceptable for you to have a drink because time is not like a real concept in those places.
So take a flight to Vegas and you'll be good.
Right. You take a flight to Vegas and like it's on site,
We got another one here. Amarildo Zephy, where's Watson going? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
And if he plays, the commissioner's list.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the things that we just don't know if he's going to play. And I think yesterday, Adam Schefter was saying during halftime that it takes 3 parties involved in this, right? Because the Texans have to get an offer they like. The other team, whoever it is, has to feel comfortable with what they're giving up. And then, Watson apparently has veto power in this whole thing. So, if the two sides strike a deal and Deshaun's like, nope, I don't want to go there. Then, it's back to the drawing board.
Would they ever release Watson though? Like say if this just goes on so long and they're just like sick and tired of all like the hassle and the back and forth, is it just time to cut ties and say, we just got to move on, implode and just redo our whole entire team?
I mean, I think it's possible. I think that is the absolute last resort. I mean, for all of the legal issues aside, just from a football standpoint, you're talking about an incredibly talented player. And I think if you're the Texans, the last thing you want to do is let him go without getting something in return. But like you said, if this goes on long enough and it looks like there's no real answer, then that might just have to be the move.
Bambo asks, I'm 4-3. Currently, should I buy low on Tyler Lockett with a Russ return coming soon? And what do you think I should offer for him? Maybe a wide receiver 3.
I say you put that offer out there, right?
Yep.
You talk up the fact about how bad they've been with Geno Smith. You maybe see you can scare somebody in your league who has Tyler Lockett. And, because look, there may be somebody out there, especially after last night. What do you have, like 2 catches for 16 yards or something like that? It wasn't good. So maybe after a night like last night, you got somebody in your league that's sort of panicking. So just, shoot your shot, right? Throw it out there and see what happens. And here's the thing. If somebody's really interested in making a deal with you, hopefully they'll negotiate, right? Like hopefully they'll kind of put something together. So like I said, make a starting offer, and if somebody's really interested in working with you, they'll counter back, and then you can sort of try from there.
Play the game. Yep, exactly. Right on. Before we let you go, we here at uSTADIUM, we pride ourselves on hot takes and really pushing the envelope when it comes to fantasy football, boldness. We got a new feature on our app coming out called Takes, where you're going to be able to use the points that you earn in the app to buy into other people's takes or promote your own takes and eventually cash out, win some money on your sports takes. We're going to ask you, we ask it to all our guests, what's your mid-season hottest fantasy football take right now?
Ooh, so I don't know how hot this is. If you know what, here it is. Daryl Henderson is a league winner.
Yeah.
Daryl Henderson's a league winner. I mean, on top of the fact is they are using him like a true workhorse back. He's on field for the games that he's played when he's been healthy. He's playing about 80% of the snaps. He's getting the majority of the touches there. And you just look at his schedule down the stretch. It's really nice. I talked about him playing, they play the Texans this week. They've got the Titans who have been just so this week. And then you look at their playoff schedule. They've got the Seahawks in week 15. They've got the Vikings in week 16, who've just been okay. They got the Ravens in week 17, which might be sort of a tough matchup, but the way this offense is clicking, I don't think you can go away from him. So if you have an opportunity, if you've got Daryl Henderson, hold on to him because people are going to come for him. So you ask for the moon. If you don't have Daryl Henderson, throw some offers out there and see if maybe somebody's not paying attention, because I do think you're going to have a lot of championship rosters that have Daryl Henderson as one of their running backs.
Yeah, I like it. One of my hot takes is Tom Brady goes off for 5,500 and 55 TDs. He's right around there. I think he's on pace for 5,800 yards. As crazy as that is for a 44-year-old quarterback.
I mean, that dude is 3 months younger than me. Like, I need to know what he's eating. Like, and I need to know how I can get some
avocado ice cream.
That's what
no
it is.
Strawberries, nothing like that. Yeah.
If it's avocado ice cream, then I just got to be mediocre. Then I don't know if I can do that. I continually call BS on this whole like I've never eaten a strawberry thing. Like I grew up in the Bay Area just like Tom Brady did, and I know that his hometown is about an hour away from the city of Watsonville that every year has a giant, very famous strawberry festival. So you're going to tell me you grew up an hour away from a strawberry festival and you've never eaten a strawberry? That's garbage. Like, I don't buy that at all.
I agree with that one. Steph, you got any more questions for Marcus before we let him go, man?
Real quick, if you had to trade high, sell low on a player, who's your one guy you want? I'm just curious. I'm trying to trade away some big names. I just don't know what to look for or who to buy for.
That's a good question right now. If I'm trying to trade away somebody or sort of sell high on somebody, I think I'd sell high kind of on DeAndre Swift right now. He's been great, and maybe this keeps going all year long, but at some point I think the Lions got to figure out how to diversify their offense. I think that's a sell high. I think Alvin Kamara even is a sell high, especially after last night because what do you have, 10 catches? Like that's fun for him. That's fun for him. That's not sustainable for the Saints offense. So I think he's a really good sell high candidate for. And I feel like T. Higgins might be kind of a buy low right now. Tyler Boyd is droppable, sadly, and I like Tyler Boyd, but I think T. Higgins, he had 15 targets.
7 even catches though he's only 62 yards. Yeah,
right. Even though they're sort of using him like a tight end right now, which is weird. Again, Jamar Chase being awesome is great, but they've got to figure out how else to move the football. And I think T. Higgins is sort of next on that list.
I just traded DeAndre Swift actually for Diggs and Javonte Williams. So
there you go.
Made me feel a little better about myself about that.
You mentioned I love Javonte Williams, and he was my favorite rookie running back to watch in this draft class. And I kept saying, I'm not the only one, but kept saying that by mid-season he was going to surpass Melvin Gordon. I don't think that's going to happen now.
I'll keep saying that, though. It just seems like he's better. I mean, the touches was only 4 for 20. He had that touchdown. But like I said in the past shows, this is his week. Then he gets burned. I'm like, this is his week. So
right. Well, I think I don't think it's that Williams is playing bad. I just think Melvin Gordon he's doing enough, right? Like he has been good enough that if you're the Broncos, why would we go away from this guy? He's giving us decent production. Williams is giving us decent production. So as long as they're playing at the level they are right now, it just doesn't make sense for Denver to do anything other than just rotate the two of them.
And they don't care about our fantasy team. So
they do not care. Do not care.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Marcus, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you and your time and everything you do for the fantasy football community. Let the viewers know where they can find you, either on Twitter. Let them know if you got something going on outside of football that you want to promote. By all means, man, the floor is yours.
Sure, appreciate it. Yeah, I guess for all the football stuff, the best place to find a lot of it is on Twitter at MarcusG, MarcasG. I am still doing the TikTok thing. I don't know. I gotta figure out something to do today or something I can record today. But that's actually at Marcus Grant. I think there's a Marcus G account out there.
Okay.
I don't know. I gotta figure out how to access it, or if I gotta buy it off somebody. I don't know. But Marcus Grant. The full name is the TikTok account. Of course, the podcast twice a week, the NFL Fantasy Live 5 days a week on NFL Network. So I think that covers kind of all the football stuff. And then beyond that, I've been really excited. Got together with some other fantasy folks, and we created this kind of this nostalgia pop culture kind of content group called 32-bit. So we've been doing kind of weird, fun, goofy stuff there. I do a short YouTube show every week. Michael F. Florio, he is doing a podcast about TV shows. It's just fun. So you can follow it on Twitter at the 32. It's the number 30, the word 2, TWO bit on Twitter. Awesome. Yeah, it's new. We just started it maybe a couple months ago, but it seems to be going pretty well. So I'm excited about that.
Right on, man. Right on. Thanks, Marcus. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
Right on. That was fun, eh?
Wow, that's good. I like that kind of stuff. It's because you see someone else's perspective and the insight he has because he's in network. So it's always nice to have someone come like that.
Yeah, definitely, man. That was good. Thank you for everyone who asked questions and watched. If you like what you see, like the stream, subscribe to the uSTADIUM channel, download the uSTADIUM app. The links are in the bio. All of our social media handles are there in the bio. Marcus Grant's Twitter handle is there in the bio or the description. So click on the links. It'll take you to where you got to go. And let's move forward to our waiver week 8 waiver ads, buddy. We got 5 of them that you guys are going to want to add in. Some big names moving forward for this week. There were some injuries that kind of are going to help people and people that lost these guys, the Davante Adams news, the Miles Sanders news is I had so much hope from him. He was one of my starts last week, but he hurt his ankle early in the game.
The second I jump on the Miles Sanders hype train, I'm like, you know what? I got you, Chris. Right? Let's get this. And he's like, nah.
Not today. Not today. We'll get to some questions. Bursch has a terrible fantasy team.
I'm 4-3. Okay, I'm still. It's my league. I'm 4-3. I just suffered that 0.1 loss, and I got another win by whatever. I'm back on track. Let's don't worry about that.
Omar asks, I got Logan Thomas and Knox. Need a tight end this week. Any thoughts? I was thinking CJ from the Bengals. CJ's one of our must-adds this week, even just as a streamer moving forward. 2 touchdowns, 90 yards last week. So, yeah, definitely put a waiver claim in for CJ Uzomah.
And I would drop, honestly, Logan Thomas if I were you, if you're going to do that. CJ Uzomah is seeming like the third guy on that offense now. That sprinkle, like I told you back early in the season, now it's becoming a whole plaster. So,
are we starting D'Ernest Johnson, even if Chubb plays, or Mike Davis? We are not a Mike Davis show. So we're okay with starting D'Ernest Johnson because Kareem Hunt is out, so D'Ernest should still get some playing time there, and he probably, or maybe will have a better day than Mike Davis. So, yeah, you can start D'Ernest Johnson. Amarildo Zephy, Jalen Waddle, James Conner, or Alex Collins at the flex. James Conner for the Cardinals was leading in snap share at the start of the season, I think through the first 4 games. But since then, Chase Edmonds has been the leader in the snap share for the Arizona Cardinals. So out of the 3 of them here, I like Jalen Waddle over the other 2. He's the wide receiver 1 for the Miami Dolphins. Devontae Parker's status is still up in the air. Preston Williams' status still up in the air. Will Fuller is not designated to come back anytime soon. So in that offense, it's Mike Gesicki, and Jalen Waddle. So I'm comfortable starting Jalen Waddle there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, James Conner has had a touchdown in a lot of games, more than Edmonds has. So if anything, I'm Jalen Waddle. James Conner could be good down the season. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, man. And then I'm on Celtics. Would you trade Aaron Jones for Justin Jefferson? My other running backs are Eckler, Pollard, Harris, and Mitchell. I like Elijah Mitchell moving forward. Damian Harris has put up back-to-back 100-yard games, so he's turned into a nice piece for the New England Patriots. Pollard has kind of taken a back seat in the past couple weeks. Zeke has really come on, and Eckler's a must-start. So would you trade Aaron Jones for Justin Jefferson, seeing his structure of running backs here?
To be honest, if I were you, I see your running backs, try to go with Damon Harris and maybe someone else for Justin Jefferson. Aaron Jones, to me, I said it last week, he is a running back that's going to win you a lot of games. He's going to have one of those 50-point games. He's having a lot of 30-point, 25-point games. And in a world where the receivers are everywhere, you can find someone else cheaper than Justin Jefferson that produces almost the same. So if you can try to keep Aaron Jones, take Damon Harris and say Pollard, mix them 2 together for a 2-for-1, and you have a nice solid squad of Aaron Jones, Eckler, Justin Jefferson, and Elijah Mitchell. So if you could do that, but I wouldn't trade Aaron Jones for Justin Jefferson.
Avery Peterson, would you trade Henderson and Lenny for Eckler? I'm going to say no. That's a bit rich. Eckler is a good fantasy running back, but all 3 of these guys will probably finish around the same spot week in, week out. We've seen Lenny take the lead role for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We heard Marcas talk about how Henderson is a potential league winner. So I don't like the 2-for-1 here. What about you, Steph?
No, I had, like I said, Henderson. I'm more on the train of Henderson now than I was before. Lenny also, I wasn't a big Lenny fan going into the season. I avoided him a lot of drafts, but these are both 2 guys that took the reign of their running back rooms and just took them. Eckler is good, but if, say, you lose Eckler for an injury, then you lose the depth of 2 running backs. If you bench either Lenny or Henderson, you're rich. Like you said, just keep them, stash them. Just if you can win your league and you have that much depth, hold them and do not let anyone else get a hold of your depth, because you will win that league with all these injuries, all these no names playing. So Eckler is as good as he is. Like you said, it's too rich to give away that much depth and that much equity for just one player.
Exactly. Thanks, Avery. Lex, time to think about dropping Mike Davis, 10-team PPR league. Yes, it's time to talk about dropping Mike Davis. It's hard to drop a guy that's a starting running back for these teams, but the Atlanta Falcons just don't utilize the running back as they should. They are a pass-first team, mainly because they're usually playing from behind, so Mike Davis' usage isn't that great. Plus, Cordero Patterson has taken on a bigger role in the running game as well. So you could drop Mike Davis, maybe trade him to a team that is hurting at the running back position, that is looking for that stopgap, that guy to fill the role for them moving forward, and then see if you can get a nice, accent piece for your team moving forward. So you could think about dropping him. I would suggest maybe trading him first to a team that needs the running back. And if you can't get anything, if you need something else, yeah, man, he's not a bad drop candidate, especially in a 10-team league.
Yeah, I mean, Patterson took the reins. It does seem he's had kind of an ankle injury. 10-man league, I would be more secure, but a 12-man league, I'd hold on to him just deeper. But 10-man league, it's time to cut ties.
Tegan asks, do you sell high on Aaron Jones if he has a big game against the Arizona Cardinals? What do you think, Steph?
Don't sell Aaron Jones. I'm gonna. This is my hot take. He's gonna be a top 5 running back. It's just, and then this week, especially with no Adams, forget these receivers. It's gonna be an Aaron Jones 3 touchdown kind of he has those games where Devonta Adams is out. He has 3 touchdowns, 150 yards at 50-point game. I do believe personally this week he has that high point game, and even then, don't sell him because he's gonna have a few more of those high point games. And there are not that many running backs that are going to put what he does, like Kamara, healthy CMC, even now Jonathan Taylor. Aaron Jones is one of the highest scoring backs in this league. PPR-wise, is a monster.
Like you said with McCaffrey, though, right? If you're one of those 2-5 teams that's clawing to get back in, and your team's not that well-rounded, if you want to sell high on Aaron Jones to get you some more depth pieces to help solidify your roster, it's not a bad move at all. But if you're a real competing team, I would hold on to Aaron Jones, man. Like you said, he could really go off the second half.
If you have over 3 wins, if you're, say, 3-4, okay, anything lower than that, go for a trade, try to get some pieces. But if you're like a 5-2, 6-1, just keep riding your hype train. Don't let that train derail because you're going to be sorry if you see someone else with them that passes you up.
Yeah, exactly. 49er Media, start Lockett, Javonte Williams, Claypool, Boyd, or Khalil Herbert. If you had to pick one, if you had to pick one to start here, which one are you picking?
My mind, Claypool.
I like Claypool. Yeah, I like Claypool.
My heart says Williams. My mind says Claypool. So
your heart's been saying Williams since week 1. But yeah, I like Claypool. I like Claypool as well in his matchup with Juju out versus Cleveland. Cleveland has put exposed. Up exactly. They've been exposed on the defense. Baker is he considered out? Is still limited?
Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't feel confident in him because even if you're playing through an injury, that saying, rather just stay out than hurt your team more. If he's healthy, I mean, they're the best running team, so he might not have to put it all on his arm, but yeah, it's ugly there right now.
Yeah, and Lockett's pretty much unstartable without Russ Wilson. Javonte Williams is still splitting snaps with Mel Gordon. Boyd, like Marcus said, is droppable right now in some league formats. And Khalil Herbert he's had 2 nice weeks. He has 2 nice weeks, but I think overall fantasy output on the week, Chase Claypool has the better day.
Yep, I'll double down on that one.
Mahomes or Rodgers this week? From Avery.
Who did the Mahomes play? You said again, or was it the
Chiefs are playing the New York Giants?
Oh yeah. This is going to be a slaughter fest. I think on Mahomes' part. I think this is the week to start Mahomes. Rodgers on a short week against a nice Cardinals defense. They did just get Allen back. They also got Jones back, so they got their defensive players back. I think this week would be a week to start Mahomes, especially after he had the lowest point total he's ever had in fantasy history. He had under 10 points for the first time.
Yeah, it was rough. Mike White outscored Patrick Mahomes. Truly wild splash. It was truly wild. Mahomes had an off day. I think he's leading the league in picks. It's not being good, but he still is Patrick Mahomes. He still has Tyreek Hill. He still has Travis Kelce there. We're starting Patrick Mahomes. Lex asks, Boyd, Crowder, or Lazard this week, PPR. I think the consensus here is Lazard, right? Especially with Adams out. We're starting Alan Lazard.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, Lazard's the only guy on that team outside of Randall Cobb. Who else is going to catch the ball? Boyd's droppable. Crowder, that Jets defense is now, to me, if it wasn't avoidable, it's even more avoidable now with Joe Flacco coming in there. Yeah. So I don't know. Just stay away from Boyd, stay away from Crowder this week. Lazard, just because of Adams' injury or Adams' COVID policy, put him in there. Yep. He can get you a decent floor for receiver one this week.
Yep. Claypool or Devonta Smith? I think I'm still leaning Claypool here versus the Browns over Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I mean, Claypool, it's just all because he's number 2. He's the number guy. There's no one else below him. Devonta Smith is sharing, even though he has Jalen Hurts' eye. I think Goddard being the lone guy there now. Gainwell is more of a receiving back than Miles Sanders was, so Hurts will have more time with more weapons. Claypool, it's just him and Deontay Johnson. So I would go Claypool.
I like the matchup with Smith, but I still think Claypool has the better day, man. He's got the better quarterback. Hurts hasn't been that great passing the ball. So
it's all garbage time too.
Yep. Give me Claypool there. All right, buddy. You ready to talk about our 5 must-adds of the week, man?
I've been waiting for this one.
All right, let's get to it. We got 5 guys that we're telling you guys to go out there and add. We're going to start with Kenneth Gainwell. Big week for Kenny coming in. Miles Sanders down. He could split some time with Boston Scott there in the backfield. 4 receptions last week, 41 yards, a touchdown. He had 4 carries for 20 yards. The game script was kind of negative, so it kind of phased them out of the game a little bit running the ball. He's facing a Lions team that's 19th ranked defense. They've allowed the 3rd most points to the running back through the first 7 weeks. He is available in almost 80% of Yahoo leagues, and we're telling you to spend about 25% of your fab on him. If you're in need of a running back, he's going to be a guy that you're going to want to maybe go above and beyond on your budget to bring him in to fill your holes, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point where it's no longer the beginning of the season. You got to start making moves, spending that money, getting your depth in order, getting those pieces for that playoff run, that championship run. And Gainwell, I had him a few weeks ago. He was one of the guys. I thank God I didn't drop him. Like, I picked up guys before they popped off, dropped them, and now I'm stuck. He was one guy I held on only because of this Miles Sanders injury. Now that he's out, he is the passing back. He is the one back, and it works better in his favor to be that kind of back instead of being the Miles Sanders back, because we saw what Miles Sanders did. He didn't have a workload of 20 carries. He could be good somewhere else. Miles Sanders has a lot of left in the tank. He's still young, but this Eagles offense is more of a pass-heavy first than a run team. And Gainwell has better hands. He's more elusive. I just think he's better. He did have a fumble, so that kind of threw me off a little bit. But overall, I'm fine with spending 25% of my fab. Having this guy even this week. I might even consider starting him if I have some of my other RBs, because the Lions are dreadful against the run. And what they do better in Philadelphia is pass the ball to running backs that they could. There are receivers out there. So if you can get Gainwell on your team, get him. You want to start him, take that flex position, take that RB2 if you need it. But yeah, it's if it's not a lot of good bright spots in Philadelphia, it's Devonta Smith, Goddard, and maybe some Gainwell.
Yeah, he is on the smaller side, but when he was in Memphis, man, he was electric. He took playing time from Antonio Gibson, who's now the starting running back for the Washington football team. So he's a definite add. Go out and get Kenny Gainwell. We're going to move forward to Brandon Bolden. Solid week last week. The Patriots have been looking for that pass-catching running back since they lost James White for the season. They may have found him in Brandon Bolden. Do you agree?
Honestly, I didn't at first. I really at first I'm like, no, this is like the Brandon Bolden of old. He has that one game.
Yeah.
But I was watching him, play pass catcher. This guy can catch. This guy's not the bruising back that I remember, when Tom Brady was still there. They were using him for special teams. He was there, the occasional injury. But he's gotten some hands. And honestly, at first, like I said, I was looking at the waiver wire. I'm like, do I want him last week? I'm like, no, I got to see. But he had, 5 catches, a touchdoton. He looked elusive.
You could have got him for free last week. Now you're going to have to spend some coin.
I've shot myself in the foot so much, I've lost the entire foot. I don't know, man. He's one of the guys, if you have him in some leagues, like I said, I had Gainwell. So in some leagues, I'm like, wow, they're looking. I'm like, oh, I got him. And Brandon Bolden is sitting on the waiver wire. Spend $10 and spend $15 because they have no one else. And Ramondre Stevenson is not clear to play yet. Yep. So after Ramondre Stevenson, you have Damon Harris, you have JJ Taylor, who had 2 garbage time touchdowns. Yeah. But Bolden was there before garbage time, and it's him and Harris. And Harris had a big workload, he said. So maybe they might dial Harris back this week and then implement more of a Bolden role and like alternate those backs.
Yeah, I mean, he had 6 receptions for 79 yards, a touchdown last week. He has 20 receptions, 160 yards, and a touchdown on the season. He's a decent flex play rest of the season. A great stopgap for managers looking to fill a hole. He's only owned in 6% of the league, so he's most likely out there in your league. Go out there and get Brandon Bolden. All right, next guy here, owned in a small percentage of Yahoo leagues, Allen Lazard. We're telling people to spend about 20% of their fab on him. You might need to spend a little bit more now that Davante Adams is probably 99.9% not playing. He had a great game on Sunday. He caught 5 of his 6 targets, 60 yards, and a touchdown. He's the clear-cut wide receiver 2 for the Packers. He has a cake schedule after this week. He plays the Cardinals on Thursday. Then after that, he's got the Chiefs, the Seahawks, and the Vikings. The last 3 weeks, his snap share has been over 70%. 2 weeks ago, he played 90% of the snaps, so he's on the field a lot. The Packers were always looking for that number 2 guy behind Adams. They may have found him in Allen Lazard. He's creeping up to be a must start this week, especially with the news from Davante Adams. Are you got a bunch of claims in for Allen Lazard anywhere?
Sadly, no. As much as I need to, you know what? It's because in my certain leagues I've have less fab than I wanted to on some of these waiver wires.
Gotcha.
But also because as much as I think he'll be number 2, Aaron Rodgers doesn't believe in a number 2. It could be anybody. So I feel like he's 5% owned now. He'll jump to like 90% owned and like 85% rostered on Thursday, and then drop right back down to like the 5% owned after.
You're going to get that roster alert from Yahoo. He's been dropped by 15,000 teams.
Exactly. So like I said, if you need him, if you have the fab, go right ahead. It's not a bad play. I mean, the Cardinals have been kind of, forgiving on the pass side. They're not the worst pass defense, but they can be given up to Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is going to throw at least 2 touchdowns. And Lazard could easily be on the end of both of those touchdowns, if not one of those touchdowns, and a good chunkage of yards. So in a receiving world where there's no Davante Adams, this is the guy you want in that offense. Spend that.
Spend it. Yep. I mean, it was nice to see my guy, Robert Tonyan, Sweet Tonyan Chicken Teriyaki, finally catch a touchdown. He's been absolutely useless this year, but it was good to see him finally get involved. Speaking of tight ends, on National Tight End Day, CJ Uzomah caught 2 TDs. He got 90 yards, 5 touchdowns in the past 4 games. He has been a bit of a definition of a boomer bust, but when he's booming, you're happy that he's in your lineup. He's 8th at the position in total snap share, 7th at the position in route participation. So he's running the routes. He's not just blocking. 6th in yards per target at the position. And one of the biggest things for me is he's 1st in tight ends for fantasy points per target. And per target, he's averaging a 3.03 fantasy points per target. So that's a big number. He's leading. Granted, he only had 3 catches and 90 yards last week, so the number's a bit inflated, but he's a great streamer this week. He's part of the offense. He's involved in the Bengals. He's 19% owned in Yahoo. We're telling you guys to go spend about 15% of your budget. You got CJ in any leagues of yours? Did he win you any weeks last week?
Tragic story. I picked him up in a league, in a 14-man league, and I had him the week before. Then I had him this week, and I was like, "Oh, Dallas Goedert's back. Let me switch him out."
Oh no!
I lost by 22 points, and he had me 29.
I picked him up off waivers in one league last week. Then I went on and traded for Kyle Pitts. I dropped CJ Uzomah because of the trade for Kyle Pitts. Luckily, Pitts had a
I was
good
gonna
day.
say, I was like, oh, but then I was like, wait, Pitts had a good day. Okay, that's not bad.
Pitts had a great day. So, but man, the guy's been going off. If Uzama's on your waivers and you need a tight end streamer, he's definitely a guy that you're gonna want to go and grab. And then the last one on our list here, he's been a non-factor for most of the season. There was a lot of hype for him coming in, especially with the Julio trade. But wide receiver Russell Gage from the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, man, that guy was the epitome of a hyped receiver pre-draft. This guy was. I even took him. I'm like, every draft I've gotten Russell Gage in my mocks, get him in a few leagues, and this guy hasn't done anything. Like last year, he's crazy as a receiver 3. Yep. This year, he's done nothing. I mean, he's not even on pace to have what he had last year as a third string. This week, though, I mean, he looked like the passing game is back in Atlanta. Matt Ryan is throwing the rock around. I just, he's 5%, which means he's a guy that you want to throw a dart at if you need a bye week guy, if you need someone that you're desperate receiver, if you want just like someone that has a floor, maybe 10 points when he's healthy, when they're on the same page in Atlanta. Because right now there's no running back in Atlanta. There's Cordero Patterson, and he's a receiving running back.
Yeah.
They don't like to run the ball in Atlanta. We see that. So any receiver has value up to Russell Gage. Gage, Patterson, Pitts, and Ridley are the only ones I'm touching on that team. Russell Gage, you never know. Maybe he's back. He's shaking the injury. He can be a good guy going forward. So spend that 5%, maybe 10%, because he's not owned anywhere.
And they got a good matchup against Carolina, who many thought was a top defense at the beginning of the season.
What happened?
But now not so much. Over the past 2 weeks, the Panthers are last in versus the wide receiver in terms of fantasy points, and they're second last in the league in receiving yards against and second in receptions against. So the wide receivers are absolutely going off against the Carolina Panthers, especially these past 2 weeks. They desperately need Christian McCaffrey back. They're undefeated with McCaffrey and haven't won a game without him. So they're definitely a different team with Christian McCaffrey in the fold. That's it for us for our ads. Are there any guys that you're cutting bait on?
Oh, man. Every week that creeps closer, I just get closer to Allen Robinson getting cut. It's getting to the point where it's ugly. It's like
hard, man. It's hard because you know what he can do, but it's just.
But why? And even Darnell Mooney, like, what is wrong with Matt Nagy needs to leave? Like, he's on COVID. He might not come back. I think. I don't know. It's sad because this is the year, and we keep saying it, injuries piling up. These Allen Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, who else is out there? Like, these guys are you draft them and you're like, yes, you are my receiver. You
draft them high too.
Yeah, like Brandon Ayuk, receiver 2. Allen Robinson, receiver 1. He's a third round. I look at him, I'm like, third round pick. I'll take Allen Robinson third round. Now I wouldn't even touch him with a 10-foot round pole. Like 12-man league, you want to stash him? Go ahead. 10-man league.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. It's been rough. I mean, he might end up getting that one boom game. The quarterback play has been bad. The coaching's been bad. It just hasn't been good for fantasy. Other than the running back in Chicago, it hasn't been good for fantasy owners. Let's talk streamers. I got a couple that I'm going to give some of you guys. Kirk Cousins versus the Dallas Cowboys. He's averaging 2.2 touchdowns per game, 20.7 fantasy points per game. Cousins is. Cowboys have given up 20.3 fantasy points per game to the QB position. They're giving up an average of 311 passing yards and 2 touchdowns per game. So Kirk Cousins is definitely a play this week. If he's on your waivers, go pick him up and plug him in if you need a whole-filled tight end to accompany Kirk Cousins. Tight end Ty Conklin. Over the past 4, he's averaging about 5.5 targets per game, 10.1 fantasy points per game. Cowboys have given up 11.15 points to the tight ends per game. They've also allowed the tight end to score 22 points in a third of their games this year. So Ty Conklin, not a sexy name for the tight end position, but again, as a streamer, he's definitely a guy you're going to want to go add. And then Bengals defense versus the Jets, because we don't know who's starting for the Jets. It could be White again. It could be the elite Joe Flacco. We just don't know. And then Chargers versus the Patriots as another DST that you might want to stream, especially coming off the bye. Are you got any streamers for the viewers?
I have a few actually. So to hop on your defenses trend, to be honest, it's not pretty. The Eagles defense against Detroit, I feel like could be having a nice little game. Detroit's just been in shambles. They're 0-7. They're not going anywhere. I mean, pick them up. If you need a streamable defense, they're not the worst defense. They are pretty good against the pass, and the Lions have no receivers. They have running backs, and that's it. So Eagles defense, if you need some, and also a tight end I have is Jared Cook. Jared Cook's been quietly like a decent, in the wasteland of tight ends, a decent pickup. He's had a few touchdown games. He's had a few decent yardages. Herbert is starting to look at him when he can't find Allen. He can't find Williams. And honestly, the last few weeks, Allen has been kind of on the downside and Cook has been more of an upside. So if you're looking for a streaming tight end, Jared Cook's there. Also, the Brendan Bolden thing. Samaje Perine, I'm a fan of. I think a lot of his yardage last week was that last second, the garbage time run he had.
Yep.
David Johnson too. He's starting to get a few. These are just like desperate darts because right now the waiver wire is kind of dry outside of the guys we told you to pick up.
Yeah, just streaming options at this point, right?
14-man leagues. 12-man leagues. If you have a bye week, Jared Cook, Eagles defense, also the Chicago Bears defense I was looking at. Okay. I didn't want to say it. I think they have a good defense. I think they're sack-wise against the San Francisco 49ers that looked subpar against the Colts.
Yeah. And their offense can't keep them off the field, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So they're bound to get burned here and there, right?
And they're in Chicago. So I think a home game for Chicago coming off last week against the annihilation, the slaughter fest that was Tampa Bay. I think they could rebound against San Fran and give them a good work for their money.
Yeah, especially weather plays an option too in streaming your DSTs. If torrential downpour is projected to happen, look at the weather reports when you want to stream DSTs. That's going to help. If they're not going to throw the ball because the wind speeds are absolutely crazy and you're projecting a low-scoring game, then that might be a DST that you want to stream, hoping that they can steal you some points. Yeah, of course, man.
You got to look at wind. Like every time I look at it was last year Texans versus Browns, I'm looking at the wind chill. I'm looking at everything because you don't know what kind of game it's going to be.
Yep.
There are 40-mile-an-hour winds. You know it's going to be a running game. So look into that, like you said, because that will make or break what kind of style of game it is and what. Say you have a pass defense or like a good run defense that could play a role in who you take, matchup wise.
Yeah, all these little things are going to help you squeak out your weeks, win your weeks. But yeah, these are the tips that you're gonna want and need to move forward and get to that playoff spot and then make it into playoffs. And then once you get into the dance, it's any given Sunday at that point.
And it's a blink of an eye. Like right now, we're week 7 or 8? Like
week 8, man.
Week 8. Like what?
Halfway through the regular season already.
Yeah. So you're looking at yourself. Blink of an eye. It's gonna be week 13, week 14. Yep. You're in the playoffs. So you got to make these moves. You got to make sure you get these wins now because there are people desperate enough to take some wins at the bottom of your rankings. You got to be just as aggressive. You're in the top of the rankings.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. All right, Stefan. Let's take some questions before we head out here. Rex STI, would you trade Cordero for Chris Godwin? I know Cordero is your guy, but Chris Godwin, I'm assuming you're a Bucks fan because you live in Tampa, but Chris Godwin's probably one of your guys too. So this has got to put you in a spot. So I want to hear your take on this one.
Okay, so Chris Godwin had a great game. Chris Godwin is a great receiver in that offense. I personally would take that trade as much as I do love Cordero. I don't believe a regression is coming as much as we think it is, but I do see a progression for Godwin going forward. Mike Evans had a 3-touchdown game. Antonio Brown's still out. I think he's still the go-to, under the middle, dink and dunk pass guy outside of the deep ball. So if you have Cordero and you get Chris Godwin for Cordero Patterson, that's a win for you because I like to admit, yes, Cordero Patterson's hype, but will he come down? We don't know that because we don't know what to expect. But will Chris Godwin be the guy? Chris Godwin, I don't think he's going to come down. I think he's still young. He's still got a lot left in his arsenal with Tom Brady, and that offense looks electric no matter who's playing.
Yeah, I definitely trust the Bucs offense more than I trust the Falcons offense at this point.
At this point, yeah. So I would take Chris Godwin, and I would be happy for trading Cordero Patterson for him.
Mm-hmm. Especially a guy you picked up off waivers, and you're you're trading him for a guy that was drafted first 3 rounds, maybe. So
value at the position and as volume at the position.
If Gronk plays, is he a must start? I'm gonna say not the first week. Not the first week.
Yeah,
I think not the first week.
I'm a big guy, and I'm like, I don't want a guy to play a week after. I want a guy to play a week after, not the time of the injury. So like, if Gronk can play, he's questionable all week, just hold him out. Just secure him because you're gonna be in the playoffs. They don't care about our fantasy teams. The Bucks want to win games, so they're gonna hold Gronk as long as they can out until he's 100% healthy. Because if he gets re-injured, then he could be out the rest of the season, and that's a big piece for that championship offense.
Yep, agreed. Thanks, Tegan. What's the real life trade you want to see go down for fantasy purposes? I mean, I would love to see Deshaun. I own quite a bit of shares in Deshaun Watson, especially in dynasty leagues. I just picked him up for free off waivers in a redraft league. I would love to see him get traded. I doubt even if he gets traded that he's gonna play, but for fantasy purposes in the dynasty leagues I'm in, I would love to see him get traded to a decent team, the Panthers, the Eagles, the Dolphins, wherever it is. But he's one guy that I just want to see him get out of that situation. I know he's got a lot of legal troubles, so if anything, for fantasy purposes, for me, it's Deshaun Watson.
For me, I'm gonna actually throw this in a weird direction. It's Miles Sanders. Just
get
off the Eagles, man. It happened to DeMarco Murray. It happened to every running back on that team. They don't know what to do with them. So if Miles Sanders is smart, after this year, just leave. Go somewhere else. Go to a team that will use a running back. Go to a team that will utilize you because you're just wasting time, wasting miles. No pun intended. But you got to go to a team that needs a running back, So even if I'm a team right now in the NFL, look to trade for that guy. He's having a down year. He's having the lowest numbers he's had. He's a running back, I think, that's still good, but he needs a better situation to flourish. So Miles Sanders, even though I'm not a big Philly fan, I just don't like to see players that have potential on a bad team just be wasted in their career.
Jason asks, should I pick up Deshaun Watson or Trey Lance? I think Trey Lance has a better opportunity to play. His playoff schedule is a cakewalk. So if you can pick up Trey Lance, he's on your waiver wires. I would pick up Trey Lance over Deshaun Watson. I just don't think Deshaun Watson plays this year, man.
Yeah, don't give yourself a headache. Don't make more stress for yourself with Deshaun Watson. If someone else takes him, fine. Someone else takes him. But at least, like Marcus said, you don't know what's going to go on, and he might not play this year. And if he does, the NFL could step in and say, oh, well, no, you're on the exempt list. So then that's a whole different thing. Trey Lance, I think, could be a guy starting later in the year, week 12, week 13, and he could be a league winner because that guy has the run ability, he has the pass ability, and he has good weapons on that team. So if you can make it work going for you in the playoffs, stash him, and then whoever you have a quarterback, if he's not better than Trey Lance, give him a chance.
Yep, I agree with that. Lamb Cup, should I trade Godwin and Clyde Edwards-Hilaire for CMC? I think I'm making that trade, man.
I would. If you're looking to win now, or if you're looking just for something like that, I would take that. That's CMC for a winning team that has depth that can stash him is a godsend. That means you probably have other players that are, running back 1, 2, receiver 1, 2, tight end that you could just stash at CMC, and then when he comes out, your opponents are gonna be looking at you funny the whole rest of the season.
Yeah, and like we talked about with Nate on Sunday, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire has been, other than the 2 100-yard games, he hasn't been that great. He's not utilized in the red zone. They use Daryl Williams at the goal line, so his opportunity for touchdowns is very minimal. And Godwin can go off one week. There's so many weapons in that offense, and he can be stagnant the next week. CMC is the guy in that offense. He is the motor that makes that offense move. So, yeah, I would definitely make that trade.
Trevor Howard, even being there, he's not going to sit there and take that much away from an elite running back.
No. Also, should I trade Cortland Sutton and Chase Edmonds for Daryl Henderson? I like Cortland Sutton, man. I like him on that offense. He's Teddy B's favorite target. Chase Edmonds has a decent floor, but Daryl Henderson, man.
League winner, he said.
Yeah, Marcus Grant, league winner, potential league winner there. He could finish as a top 10, if not top 5 running back if they keep utilizing him the way they utilize him. He's got no real threats behind him. Edmonds does have James Conner always just nipping at his heels. And so
Jerry Jeudy got cleared this
yeah,
week too.
Jerry Jeudy is activated, so that is a big cut into some of Cortland Sutton's catches and snap share and stuff like that for him.
Yep.
So I think if I'm in need of a running back, I don't hate the trade. Maybe see if you can get a low-end wide receiver 3 tagged with Daryl Henderson to kind of even it out just a little bit, but I definitely don't hate the move.
Yeah, I mean, I like Henderson as well. I'm starting every week. I'm becoming more and more of a fan of him.
Yep.
Personally, also, that Arizona offense has so many mouths to feed. Yeah. I can name you 5 targets before I name you Chase Edmonds has to be fed. And even James Conner is taking his run. I mean, I think I go Daryl Henderson. He's more of the workhorse. Sonny Michel's there. He might take some snaps away, but that's just to prevent an injury happening. You know, you can't abuse him because you see CMC's abused. You see these other running backs that get abused, and then they're nothing going forward. So Henderson's still got miles left. He's still got that easy cakewalk of a schedule. I'm even trying to get him in a few leagues. So try to get him, and then you'll be happy with what you get result-wise.
Yep, agree with that. All right, I think that's it for us, Stefan. Thank you, everybody who joined us today at this 1 p.m. hour. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel. uSTADIUM Network has a bunch of shows on YouTube. They got Snacks and Sunny, which is now available on Spotify as a podcast. So go listen and download, subscribe to that one. They got the Play Action Pod, Play Like a Jet, University with Zach Berman, the Sports Desk with you, Splash and Henry, Timeout, H&R Locks. And we break down pretty much all the big primetime games. After the game, we dive into the big stories going around the NFL. As always, download the uSTADIUM app. The Takes feature is an absolute game changer. If you're not on uSTADIUM, get on uSTADIUM. Accumulate those points. You accumulate those points by just predicting the outcome of games and everything else like that. The links are in the description. So go download the uSTADIUM app. We will see you guys on Sunday. By all means, on the app, contact us. We are there. Ask us your questions. We are available 24/7 pretty much. But yeah, see you guys on Sunday. We appreciate you. We appreciate Marcus Grant joining us today. Go check out his 32-bit side project on YouTube. Again, we'll see you guys on Sunday.
Thank you, guys.